Then we've got Rowan Marshall who wants to leave, but now that deal, Scotty, is done. He's not leaving, he's staying as a Saint.
Yeah, well, St Kilda are telling him he's staying as a Saint at the moment. So, as we know, Geelong's all into Curnow, and pick 19 they thought would do the deal for Marshall. They still love Marshall, but I think St Kilda's dug in. So now over the next 5-6 days, we're going to have to deal with Marshall how much can he live with TDK coming? Now, Joey, you've got strong thoughts about this. Can they together gel and make this work? TDK's management, Tom de Koning's management, want the Ryder Marshall thing that worked a few years ago. They are desperate for him to stay. I'm not sure he's going to end up there.
It's a difficult one. Before I get your thoughts on it, Joey, my thoughts is outside, because you're obviously a St Kilda man, so you'll have a little bit more information on what's going on at that footy club. And I love and I was praised their Gubby Allen and the strategy of the club. They've got to do something, so they've gone out and spent money. But I'd find it hard if I'm running next to a guy and he's $1 million or close to $1 million more than me. I just think from that premiership model, and we've seen and heard premiership players talk about, OK, we take unders to keep the group together. They've gone the other way and paid overs to get people in, but you've got existing core talent that have, held your footy club together. That would be a hard pill to swallow.
I'm not necessarily in that camp, because if you want success as a player, and I'm sure Rowan Marshall does, you need to bring in more talent. And Rowan's been well paid for a long period of time now, and he's turning 30, and his contract's getting towards the back end. I think it might have even been front-ended a bit of his contract, so the numbers do look stark. But de Koning's 4 years younger than him. They've earmarked him. Yes, we know that Tom de Koning's probably getting paid overs, but it's been the snowball effect. It is a different approach that St Kilda are taking this trade period. No one's denying that, but everyone's saying, well, at least they're having a crack, because the other alternative was to sit on their hands, to keep a similar list that they've had for years, Ralphie, that aren't getting the job done. So I know it's different, and some people are taking their time to get their head around it, but at least they're having a go.
I think that's the one thing that people haven't realised, that everyone's saying that they need to get this salary off their books, nearly $1 million. It's not that much. It is a front-ended deal. So, of course, when they've had so much salary cap space, they've been able to pay him the lion's share. So they're saying, why would we do that? Why would we move him on when it's so easy to do that? You feel it's destabilising? Do you feel like you'd be almost jealous of him, though, Dicko? Like, how does that play out across a training paddock and across the weekend?
And no disrespect to St Kilda, but they haven't been up in finals for a while. And when you build culture and you build a group, you might be able to go down that route where you go, oh, we need to pay overs to have this guy in, but they haven't been at that stage yet. So they're coming out and going, right, we're going to swing the bat, we're going to have a go. But I think from Rowan's perspective, Ralphie, and you might know a little bit more, it wasn't so much the money initially, it was probably the communication that we're going with TDK, and that wasn't communicated to your number one ruckman.
No, and I think that's really interesting, and that's certainly the narrative out of Geelong, that he was never brought along with a ride. Now, we were reporting as recently as last October that these massive deals were coming, and in fact, St Kilda was one of those clubs. If Rowan didn't know that Tom de Koning was coming to that football club, he wasn't on Twitter, he wasn't on TikTok, I don't know how much of that stuff I believe. I think what St Kilda would be saying, though, is that, look, we know he can play forward, we know that he's been in best and fairest with dual ruckman there with Paddy Ryder. We've got 5 on the bench, we've got Max King's knee this year held together with cellophane. Imagine if we move him on and then we lose a TDK or another player. So I think it's the right move to keep him there, but again, it's all about the communication.
Yeah, I think
he thinks him, though.
Well, St Kilda have got the whip hand because he's contracted, and I think they need him. I think that if with Max Heath leaving, they don't really have a backup ruck, so they need the 2 rucks. I think we're going to see more teams going forward with 5 on the bench will play the 2 rucks, and Rowan Marshall can play as a forward. He got drafted to St Kilda as a natural centre half forward who ended up becoming an elite ruckman. So I think they can work hand in hand. And I think St Kilda, particularly with still question marks around Max King, we don't exactly know what condition Max King's going to come back in. I think they need Rowan Marshall, and that's why they're pretty keen to keep him.
And the flow on, it hurts Geelong. Like, if Curnow doesn't happen, then they don't get Marshall. Geelong haven't added anything potentially, and that's not where you want to be sitting next Wednesday.
Yep, so Geelong are saying right now, we still have that pick on the table, even though they're having a crack at Curnow, but St Kilda are saying, we're done. We've moved on. It's not happening. Interesting to see what plays out by Wednesday night.